Have you ever really paused, to consider that your soothing daily cup of tea, the one you reach for with trust, comfort, and routine, might actually be quietly harming your brain, especially after age 65? Think about it. Every morning or evening you place the kettle on the stove, you hear the familiar whistle, you pour that steaming water over a tea bag. The aroma feels comforting. The first sip feels grounding. For years, maybe decades, it's been part of your life. Feels harmless, even healing. But what if behind that comfort, behind that warmth, lies a silent threat? What if I told you that a few harmless-looking teas sitting right now in your cabinet, teas advertised as natural, healthy, even restorative, could actually be doing more harm than you realize? Not tomorrow, not instantly, but slowly, quietly, in ways you don't immediately feel. That soothing cup may not just calm you down. It may, sip by sip, be affecting your memory, your focus, your clarity, even your independence. And because the changes are so subtle at first, most people never connect the dots until it's far too late. As we grow older, one of the most precious gifts we can protect is our mind. Our ability to remember, to stay sharp, to stay independent. We work on keeping our hearts healthy, our bones strong, our muscles flexible. But what about our brain, the very center of who we are? Here's the surprising truth. Brain health isn't just shaped by puzzles, exercise, or genetics. It's shaped by the tiny daily choices we make, including what we put in our cup. And while many teas are rich in antioxidants and can actually support healthy aging, not all teas are created equal. Some, in fact, can erode the very clarity and sharpness that seniors fight to preserve. And the dangerous part? These teas don't come with warning labels. They don't say may cause memory loss or may increase brain fog. They often hide behind words like detox, energy, herbal, traditional. That's why in today's video, we're shining a light on 5 surprisingly common teas that could be undermining your brain after 65. These aren't rare blends tucked away in specialty shops. No, they're sitting on grocery store shelves, or maybe already in your kitchen waiting to be brewed. But don't worry, this isn't about fear. It's about awareness. Because once you know what to avoid, and once you discover smarter alternatives, protecting your brain becomes easier than you think. Even small changes to your tea habits can mean the difference between feeling foggy and forgetful, or staying sharp, focused, and independent for years to come. So stay with me until the very end, because what you're about to learn may not only change how you feel tomorrow, it could safeguard your mind, your memory, and your future. Detox teas. They sound so innocent, don't they? In fact, they sound beneficial, like they're helping your body, cleansing your system, flushing out the toxins. The word detox itself makes you think you're doing something good for your health. And for many older adults, especially those trying to manage their digestion, shed a few pounds, or just feel lighter, these teas feel like a natural solution. But here's the shocking truth most people don't realize. The very ingredients that make detox teas work are the same ones that can quietly damage your brain, especially after age 65. So what's inside these teas? Most detox blends rely on 2 things: high doses of caffeine and natural laxative herbs like senna or cascara. Now, at first glance, caffeine and senna might not sound dangerous. After all, caffeine is in coffee, and senna has been used in herbal medicine for centuries. But the combination and the daily use can create the perfect storm for neurological stress in seniors. Let's start with the laxatives. Senna and cascara don't gently help digestion the way you might think. Instead, they force your bowels to contract more aggressively than they would on their own. And when that happens, your body loses not just waste but water. Now, why does this matter so much for your brain? Because dehydration is far more dangerous than most people realize. Research from the Alzheimer's Drug Discovery Foundation and Apollo Health shows that even mild dehydration can reduce blood flow to the brain, shrink brain volume, and slow down the neural pathways that keep memory sharp and mood stable. In fact, in older adults, dehydration doesn't just cause thirst. It can trigger confusion, forgetfulness, dizziness, and a sudden drop in mental clarity. Many times, what seniors think is just aging is really the silent toll of repeated dehydration. The problem with caffeine. Now let's add caffeine to the mix. Detox teas often contain very high caffeine content, sometimes even more than coffee. And here's the kicker. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at metabolizing caffeine. That means caffeine stays in our system longer, hits harder, and causes more disruption. According to studies in MDPI and the Alzheimer's Society, excess caffeine in seniors can overstimulate the nervous system, triggering anxiety, restlessness, and jitters, disrupt sleep cycles, which is devastating for memory and long-term brain health, and, in some cases, even cause irregular heart rhythms, reducing oxygen supply to the brain. And when sleep suffers, the brain suffers with it. Sleep isn't just rest. It's when your brain clears waste, repairs itself, and consolidates memories. If caffeine robs you of deep, restorative sleep, your brain never gets that crucial reset. The silent decline. Here's the dangerous part. The damage doesn't always feel immediate. You might drink detox tea and think, I feel lighter, I have more energy. But underneath that surface, the brain is paying a price. Over time, that price shows up as mental fog, short-term memory lapses, difficulty concentrating, and a sense of fatigue that just won't go away. And because it happens slowly, most people blame aging instead of their tea. Real-life story. Linda's wake-up call. Take Linda, age 68. She began drinking a popular detox tea every morning. Why? She wanted to feel less bloated and have more energy during the day. At first it seemed to work. She felt lighter, even a bit more alert. But within weeks something changed. By afternoon she hit a wall. Her energy plummeted. Her focus was gone. She felt foggy after lunch, unable to concentrate on simple tasks. First, Linda blamed it on aging. I thought it was just part of being almost 70, she said. But one day, her daughter noticed the pattern, that the fog always hit a few hours after her morning tea. Curious, Linda cut out the detox tea and replaced it with a caffeine-free digestive blend made of ginger and chamomile. She also focused more on staying hydrated. Within a week, the fog lifted. Her afternoons felt clear again. She later told her doctor, I thought I was just getting old. Turns out I was just drying myself out. The takeaway. Here's what most people forget. Your body already knows how to detox. Your liver, your kidneys, your skin, they've been cleansing your system every single day of your life. You don't need a tea to force your body to do something it's already built to do. When you add a tea that pushes your system harder than necessary, you're not cleansing, you're straining. And for a brain over 65, that strain often shows up as forgetfulness, fatigue, or confusion that seems to come out of nowhere. So if you're drinking a tea that promises rapid results, flip the package over. Check the label. Do you see high caffeine? Do you see natural laxatives like senna or cascara? Then ask yourself this. Is this tea really helping me feel clearer? Or is it just making me feel emptier? Because after 65, your brain doesn't need stimulation. It needs stability. And stability begins with what's in your cup. Now let's talk about another tea that seems gentle, even healing, but hides a surprisingly dangerous secret: licorice root tea. For centuries, licorice root has been used in herbal medicine. People reach for it to soothe a sore throat, calm digestion, or simply enjoy its natural sweetness. And many seniors consider it one of the safest herbal teas they can drink. After all, it's natural. It's traditional. It's been around forever. But here's what most people don't realize. In larger amounts or when consumed regularly, licorice root tea can quietly create the perfect storm for high blood pressure, low potassium, and reduced blood flow to the brain. And for adults over 65, that's a recipe for serious neurological decline. The hidden culprit, glycyrrhizin. The danger comes from a compound called glycyrrhizin, sometimes listed as glycyrrhizic acid. This is the very chemical that gives licorice its distinct sweet taste. But once inside the body, it starts interfering with the way your kidneys work. Here's what happens. Glycyrrhizin makes your body retain sodium, salt, lose potassium, and increase certain hormones that push blood pressure upward. Doctors call this effect pseudoaldosteronism, because it mimics a hormone disorder that keeps your body in a constant state of imbalance. And this isn't just a theory. It's been documented in medical journals like PMC and MDPI. In fact, even modest daily doses of glycyrrhizin, around 100 milligrams, have been shown in randomized controlled trials to raise blood pressure in otherwise healthy people. That's the equivalent of just a couple of cups of licorice tea per day. Why this matters for the brain? Now let's connect the dots. What does higher blood pressure do to the brain? Over time, elevated blood pressure narrows the arteries that supply oxygen and nutrients to brain cells. With less blood flow, the brain has to work harder to stay sharp. And research from Verywell Health, MDPI, and PMC shows that chronic high blood pressure is one of the leading risk factors for cognitive decline, vascular dementia, and accelerated memory loss. In other words, that sweet-tasting cup of tea could be slowly starving your brain of the very fuel it needs to stay clear, focused, and independent. Why seniors are especially vulnerable? For someone under 40, the body might bounce back from these effects more quickly. But after 65, the risks compound. Many seniors are already on blood pressure medication, which can interact dangerously with licorice. Potassium naturally tends to decrease with age, making the losses from licorice even more risky. And recovery isn't quick. Studies in Consultant 360, Curious, and Verywell Health show that it can take weeks or even months for blood pressure and potassium levels to normalize after stopping heavy licorice consumption. This means that even after you quit, your brain and heart may continue to feel the strain for a long time. Real life story. Frank's wake-up call. Let me give you an example. Frank, age 72, loved licorice root tea. Every night before bed, he brewed himself a strong cup. He said it helped him sleep and settled his stomach. It became part of his nightly ritual. But over time, Frank began noticing small changes. When he stood up too quickly, he felt dizzy. In the mornings, he felt lightheaded. And his memory wasn't as sharp as before. He assumed it was just age catching up with him. Finally, during a routine checkup, his doctor noticed something unusual. Frank's blood pressure was higher than normal. Blood tests showed his potassium levels were dangerously low, a condition that can lead not just to brain fog, but to muscle weakness, heart irregularities, and confusion. When the doctor asked about his daily habits, Frank mentioned his nightly licorice tea. That was the clue. His doctor explained the link between glycyrrhizin, high blood pressure, and potassium imbalance. Frank was shocked. Reluctantly, he gave up his nightly tea and switched to chamomile instead. Within weeks, his dizziness eased. His blood pressure stabilized. His focus improved. I never thought something so natural could be the problem, Frank later said. I thought it was safe because it was just tea. The takeaway. So what's the lesson here? Licorice root tea isn't poison. An occasional cup probably won't harm you, but drinking it regularly, especially if you already struggle with high blood pressure, heart disease, or kidney issues, can quietly undermine your brain health in ways you may not notice until it's too late. If you do enjoy licorice, Here are some safer guidelines. Limit frequency. Keep it occasional, not daily. Check labels. Look for deglycyrrhizinated licorice, DGL, which has the glycyrrhizin removed. It may not taste as sweet, but it's far safer. Know your numbers. Monitor your blood pressure and potassium regularly if you drink herbal teas. Ask your doctor, especially if you're taking medications for blood pressure or heart health. Remember, what feels soothing to your throat may be silently straining your brain. And after 65, every choice matters. Now let's move to another kind of tea, one that many seniors drink daily, often without a second thought. Black tea and oolong tea. For centuries, these teas have been celebrated for their bold flavors, comforting warmth, and even their health benefits. And the truth is, in moderation, black and oolong tea can actually be protective. Recent studies, including those reported by News Medical, show that seniors who enjoy tea in moderate amounts may experience slower cognitive decline and even improved brain connectivity. That's the good news. But as with many things in life, the danger lies in excess. Because these teas contain something that is both a blessing and a curse: caffeine. Caffeine, friend or foe? Caffeine in small to moderate doses can sharpen alertness, improve reaction time, and even support mood. That's why so many of us love that morning pick-me-up. But here's the catch. After 65, your body doesn't metabolize caffeine the way it once did. The same cup of tea that felt refreshing at 40 may now linger in your system twice as long, amplifying its effects. And in high amounts, caffeine begins to turn against the brain and the body. The silent consequences of too much caffeine. Sleep disturbances. Poor sleep is one of the strongest predictors of memory decline. Too much caffeine, especially in the afternoon or evening, can disrupt deep sleep, the very stage where your brain clears toxins and consolidates memory. Over time, this sleep debt builds into fogginess, forgetfulness, and even higher dementia risk. Anxiety and restlessness. Seniors are more sensitive to caffeine's stimulating effects. What feels like energy at first can spiral into jitteriness, nervousness, and even heart palpitations. For someone already dealing with age-related anxiety or depression, caffeine can quietly intensify symptoms. Cardiovascular strain. Studies in MDPI and News Medical confirm that excessive caffeine increases heart rate and blood pressure. For an aging cardiovascular system already under stress, this added burden can reduce blood flow to the brain, starving neurons of oxygen and nutrients. Possible brain structure changes. Emerging research has even found that high caffeine intake is linked to gray matter volume reduction in certain brain regions, responsible for memory and learning. While the changes aren't permanent, they underscore a sobering truth. The brain is more vulnerable to overstimulation than we realize. A real-life story. Margaret's overcaffeinated routine. Take Margaret, age 68. She loved her black tea. Every morning she brewed a strong pot. 1 cup became 2. And throughout the day she'd sip on more, thinking it was harmless because after all it was just tea, not coffee. First it seemed fine. But gradually Margaret noticed she wasn't sleeping well. She tossed and turned, waking up groggy. She started feeling nervous, with her heart sometimes pounding without reason. Worse, her memory felt unreliable. She would forget small details, like where she left her keys, or what she had just read in a book. Her doctor eventually traced the problem back to caffeine. Margaret was consuming the equivalent of 5 cups of strong black tea per day, far more than her body could process at her age. Once she cut back to 1 morning cup and switched to caffeine-free herbal teas later in the day, her sleep improved, her heart calmed, and her mind felt sharper. Her words were simple but powerful. "I thought tea was the safe choice. I didn't realize the dose mattered so much at my age." The takeaway: The message here isn't that you should never drink black or oolong tea. On the contrary, moderate consumption, 1 or 2 cups a day, may protect your brain. But when those cups turn into 4, 5 or more, the risks rise dramatically. Sleep disruption, which accelerates memory loss. Anxiety and heart strain, which reduce overall well-being. Possible brain structure changes, hinting at long-term harm. For seniors who already metabolize caffeine more slowly, these risks stack higher and higher. Practical tips for seniors. Set a caffeine cutoff. Avoid black or oolong tea after 2 p.m. to protect sleep. Limit quantity. Stick to 1 to 2 cups daily. More isn't better. Rotate with herbal teas. Try chamomile, rooibos, or peppermint in the evening for variety without caffeine. Listen to your body. If you feel restless, anxious, or sleep-deprived, your tea habit may be quietly taking more than it's giving. Final word. Remember this. Moderation is medicine. Excess is poison. Black and oolong teas can be allies for your brain, but only in small doses. At 65 and beyond, it's not just about what you drink, but how much and when. So enjoy your cup in the morning sunshine. But when the day winds down, let your brain rest. Because restful sleep, calm nerves, and steady circulation are the real ingredients of lasting brain health. When most people hear the word herbal tea, they immediately think safe, natural, gentle. After all, herbs are plants, and plants are supposed to be good for us, right? But here's the hidden truth. Not all herbs are harmless. Some, especially those with natural laxative properties like cascara, aloe, or buckthorn bark, can quietly wreak havoc on an aging brain. The lure of the natural cleanse, cascara sagrada, for example, has been used for centuries as a natural remedy for constipation. It's often marketed as a detox tea ingredient, promising to cleanse the gut, flush toxins, or promote lightness. And yes, it works. Cascara and other stimulant laxatives force your intestines to contract, pushing waste out quickly. But the very effect that seems cleansing is also where the danger lies, especially if consumed daily. The hidden risks for the brain. Chronic dehydration. Each time you drink a laxative tea, your body loses not just waste but also water. And dehydration isn't just about feeling thirsty. It directly reduces blood volume and blood flow to the brain. According to the Alzheimer's Drug Discovery Foundation, even mild dehydration can impair memory, slow processing speed, and trigger confusion. Imagine that happening day after day because of something you thought was helping your health. Electrolyte imbalance. Laxative herbs strip away critical minerals like potassium and magnesium. These aren't minor losses. These electrolytes regulate nerve signaling, muscle contraction, and brain cell communication. Apollo Health reports that when electrolytes are imbalanced, the result can be brain fog, fatigue, dizziness, and in severe cases, even delirium. For seniors whose electrolyte balance is already more fragile, this becomes a ticking time bomb. Dependency and long-term gut damage. The more often you use laxative teas, the more your intestines rely on them. Over time, this dependency means your bowels struggle to function naturally. And when your gut slows down, toxins and waste products linger, ironically creating the very brain fog and fatigue these teas claim to prevent. A real-life story. Harold's health habit gone wrong. Consider Harold, age 74. He was told by a friend that cascara tea was a great natural way to stay regular. It worked so well that he began drinking it almost every evening. First he felt lighter. But soon, Harold began waking up confused, especially in the mornings. He struggled to concentrate on his crossword puzzles, something he had loved for years. He also started feeling weak and dizzy when standing up. After several tests, his doctor discovered 2 things. Harold was dehydrated, and his potassium levels were dangerously low. The culprit? His nightly cascara tea. Once Harold stopped drinking it and rehydrated, his thinking became clearer, his dizziness vanished, and his memory noticeably improved. His doctor warned him that tea was silently robbing your brain of what it needs most: water and electrolytes. The cognitive cost of laxative teas. For seniors, the brain is like a delicate electrical system. Every thought, every memory, every decision relies on hydration and balanced electrolytes. Strip those away and the lights start to flicker. Memory slips, focus fades, confusion rises. That's why frequent use of teas containing cascara, aloe, or buckthorn bark isn't just about gut health. It's about protecting brain function. Practical tips for safer tea habits. Know what's in your tea. Read labels carefully. If you see cascara, senna, aloe, buckthorn, or rhubarb root, recognize these as stimulant laxatives. Avoid daily use. If you struggle with constipation, don't rely on laxative teas. They're designed for short-term relief, not long-term health. Protect your brain. Hydrate with water-rich herbal teas like rooibos, hibiscus, or peppermint, which support circulation without draining fluids or electrolytes. Support your gut naturally. Increase fiber intake, eat probiotic-rich foods, and stay hydrated. These approaches promote bowel health without brain risk. Final word. Cascara and other laxative herbs may look harmless in a tea bag, but for seniors they are a double-edged sword. What feels like cleansing the body is, in reality, depleting the brain, drying it out, scrambling its chemistry, and leaving behind a haze of brain fog and forgetfulness. So if you've been reaching for that detox or slimming tea, stop and ask yourself, is this cup really worth my clarity? Choose teas that hydrate, restore, and nourish. Because when it comes to aging well, your brain deserves protection, not punishment disguised as health. You may be wondering right now, does this mean I have to give up tea forever? And the answer is no. Because tea in moderation can actually be a friend to your brain. In fact, multiple studies, including those published by News Medical and MDPI, show that 1 to 3 cups a day of the right kind of tea may actually help slow cognitive decline. The key is not elimination, it's moderation, awareness, and choosing wisely. Think of it this way: your brain is like a finely tuned instrument. It thrives on balance, not extremes. 1 to 3 cups of black, green, or herbal tea daily can provide antioxidants, reduce inflammation, and support blood flow. But cross that line into overconsumption, 5, 6, 7 cups a day, or high doses of stimulant or laxative teas, and the harmony breaks down. So remember, it's not about swearing off tea. It's about making your cup work for you. If you have high blood pressure, take diuretics, manage heart disease, or deal with electrolyte imbalances, your doctor or pharmacist can help you spot dangerous interactions. A quick question like, is this tea safe with my medication? Can save months, even years of silent harm. As Curious Consultant 360 and Verywell Health emphasize, some side effects of harmful teas take months to reverse. Prevention is far safer than correction. Final word. A cup that protects, not punishes. So here's the big takeaway. You don't need to give up tea. You don't need to fear every sip. What you need is awareness, moderation, hydration, and wise choices. Because the truth is, your brain after 65 doesn't need extra stress, strain, or fog. It needs stability. It needs flow. It needs nourishment. So the next time you put the kettle on, ask yourself, is this cup building my brain or breaking it down? Choose teas that heal. Choose hydration. Choose balance. Because when it comes to your independence, your clarity, your memories, every sip matters. Remember this, your journey with tea, like your journey through life, is not about perfection. It's about wisdom. It's not about giving up everything you enjoy. It's about making smarter choices that keep your mind sharp, your body steady, and your spirit free. Tea can be a friend or a foe. The difference lies in what you choose, how often you drink it, and whether you pause to ask, is this cup serving me or is it silently stealing from me? Because here's the truth. Even the smallest tweaks ripple outward into powerful change. Choosing water alongside your tea, switching from a laxative blend to a calming herbal infusion, or swapping licorice for ginger might feel insignificant in the moment. But to your brain, to your memory, to your independence, those changes are monumental. Every sip you take is a vote for clarity, for strength, for being present in the moments that matter most. And the beauty is, you hold that power. Not a company selling detox, not a label promising miracles. You. And when you choose wisely, your brain thanks you. It rewards you with clearer mornings, steadier focus, deeper sleep, and sharper memories. It rewards you with the independence to keep living life on your terms, to drive, to walk, to love, to remember. So the next time you sip, ask yourself, am I fueling my brain or quietly draining it? And when you choose the cup that nourishes instead of depletes, you're not just protecting your health, you're protecting your story, your connections, your future. Because a life of clarity, energy, and independence is not built in one day. It's built in daily choices, moment by moment, sip by sip.